Progress.
Welcome everyone to the second town hall. So this is obviously the final town hall before end of life. So I suspect everybody's still in the throes of migrations and all a bit hectic. So hopefully it's good timing. You guys have an opportunity today to bring any sort of questions or anything you're struggling with or anything you need to the table, and maybe offer up some solutions for others if you've done something cool on some of your sites in migrating. So today what we'll do is we'll take a look at some of the things that are coming up next. We'll also show off, so the guys who joined us for the advisory board a couple of weeks ago will be semi-aware of this. We're going to be sharing some information about how site gurus are offering migration packages to their clients. They're calling it the rescue package. So anybody who's been dragging their feet and not yet migrated. So Robert, I think, is going to hopefully take us through sort of how they're offering that to their clients and what they're doing about those ones, which would be cool. Then we've got some questions that were submitted by you guys that we'll take a look at. And then I think over to Luke a little bit later to sort of touch on what we'll be doing next after end of life. So quite a bit to try and cover, but I'll not talk too much tonight. So we should get through things. So first off, as promised, taking a look at some of the things we'll be doing next. So this is our roundup blog post that was posted a couple of days ago. So if you haven't seen it, it goes through some of the things that are coming up next, such as import tools for orders and cases, some of the last and final things that will be needed to migrate some of those more complex sites. The attributes import with inventory attached attributes as well, along with some of the custom payment flows. So we're sort of opening up that side of things to assist with some of the more bespoke migrations left to do. So yeah, Robert, I don't know, do you want me to share my screen and you talk, or do you have something you'd like to show?
No, I've got a screen ready to share. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm going to sort out the lighting. Problem with wearing glasses is that you get reflection of them. Maybe that's slightly better. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Martin. Great to see everyone, good attendance. And I haven't got much to say really, other than time is ticking. There are a considerable number of latecomers to the party. It is quite surprising. I think quite a few of them, to be fair, are end clients with perhaps their agency less. Perhaps they were the people that came along through Creative Cloud, got a BC account, bashed out a site using a BC template, something like that, and have only probably fairly recently received emails directly from BC telling them get off, and are now facing the reality that if they don't do something, their site will disappear into the ether on Sunday night. So capacity is the main consideration for any agency, as pretty much everybody on the webinar will know, and a great influx of last minute work has to be managed very carefully. So we had been doing, as site gurus, we had been doing full migrations, getting all the e-commerce exported, imported, all built into the SiteGlide e-commerce, doing all the web app conversions, all the form conversions, and then going through internal QC and then sending it back to the client, and they were signing off and the site was going live. But as time runs out, you just haven't got the physical capacity, the hours in the week or 2 weeks in which to do that. So I think it's about 10 days, 2 weeks ago, we launched what we called the rescue package for those people that really would have fallen between the cracks. And what it does is it ensures business continuity. It ensures a working website of some description. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. I might override yours in a minute, but Yeah, Karen, that's good. Thank you, Martin. I'd forgotten to share. Of some description, it won't be an all singing, all dancing website at this late stage in the day. But the key points of it are to export, to get all the data off BC, and that can include CRM data, customers and orders, customers and cases, all those manual exports from CRM that we all know so well. To secure that and to provide it to the client and also keep a copy. And then to get a working site of some description onto SiteGlide. And that varies considerably according to the job that we're working on. And some of them are pretty much getting their current BC site replicated on SiteGlide for probably 4 hours work, inside 4 hours work, something like that. Whereas others, we just know at a glance that no, you can't have all the e-commerce and the web apps done by the 26th. So they get a working static site with pages, about us, contact form. We haven't, up until now, up until today, we have done rebuilds on the contact form. We've used the SiteGlide form so that they have workflows and can configure all the settings and the autoresponder. We are probably from tomorrow, I think, going to change that to form to email just to reduce the time spent on it. And then our package includes a year's plan, first year included, as it says there on the screen. And we've done it on a first come, first serve basis, really, so that the first people to buy the rescue packages will be the first in the queue on the 27th, Monday, the 27th of September, for us to then come back and build out, flesh out, if you like, that temporary site. So it could just really be a matter of days where they might have a splash screen, for example, which just says, we're having a makeover, check back soon. And maybe by early October, that site will be fully functional with e-commerce and Stripe payment gateway and all the web apps imported into SiteGlide web apps. And it's been a very interesting learning curve for us in the variety of the work in particular, some of them quite complex and some of them at the opposite end, really just very simple sites, static sites almost. And it's all gone well. We manage our daily workloads on a Google Sheet where devs estimate their time for each rescue package, and we get column totals. And every day, at the end of the working day, they update their estimates. And if the job's been closed, then that comes out. And there's another column in the sheet, which is the number of actual working hours based on 7.5, 8 hours a day, working days between the current date and the end of life, when in fact Friday, because Adobe in their wisdom have decided to end life on Sunday. I don't know whether that was clever or not. I think there are advantages both ways, perhaps. Yeah, so each day we can monitor that and we can see whether there's a deficit, whether we've got more dev estimated time than we have actual hours. And it varies from day to day. We're getting through them. And I noticed just earlier, there's another one come through just half an hour before the webinar started. And I guess they'll probably come through right up until the 25th of September. I'm not a betting man, but I'll wager, what will I wager? I'll wager a rescue package, which will be useless on the 27th, that somebody will come along on the 26th and ask if we can rescue their site. I may lose, And that's it, really. Let me just share, if I do have permission. No, you can't
sure.
start screen sharing, blah, 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 but I can probably, can't find it now. Just bear with, let me go back. It's there. Oh, yeah, yeah. There we go. That's the Site Gurus page version. Business Catalyst Rescue Package. Ignore the credit balance. It's just a dummy balance on my account there where I'm logged in. And you can book a meeting. This is not a sales pitch. This is not a sales pitch. But Josh put this together so we can choose a time and just pop your name and address in that, your name and email address in there, and away you go. We really don't want any more, I don't think. But just to show you guys what we've done and how it all works, and that's it. You can purchase the package on the Site Gurus. Josh has done all of this integrated with the Stripe Gateway. That I don't know whether you noticed when Martin was sharing, it does. I did cover it, but it includes 1 year's site glide plan. So you're really only just paying for 2 or 3, maybe 4 hours dev time to configure everything and do the export and the import. That's pretty much it, really. I don't have a great deal more to say about it. So a few terms and conditions, but you can go and have a look at that page on that URL if you wish.
Cool. Thank you.
Does anybody have any? I'll stop sharing, Martin. But does anybody have any questions on that?
No.
No, nobody understood a word of it. Mr. Clausen, did you understand it?
Yes, I understand it because you're doing two of my sites already.
If you understood it, sir, then
Yeah.
everybody should understand it. Monsieur
Yes.
Depaz, ça
I
va?
don't know if that was a compliment or not, but
No, it's a compliment. It was a compliment. No, I see what you
my
mean.
thing that I'm dealing with now is figuring out the billing area because I have those 2 sites ready to pretty much go, and I
Okay.
had set up the billing. So if we could talk about that or something.
Hey, Michael, the best way to do that, if you can ping the success team on intercom, that will be the best way to get those answered. I think I know the best way to get you set up, but I just want to verify it with a couple of other people from
I
the
mean,
team.
I set up a Stripe account, way back when you were doing the, what did you call it, partner billing or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But that's no longer, right?
Connect billing, no, it was
Connect.
pretty complex.
Yeah,
We've made it a lot easier, so
that's fine. My biggest thing is, and I can talk to them on intercom. It's just I want to make sure it's kind of seamless for my client. I liked how BC could do it. I just send them a link and pay for it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll get you all hooked up, Michael. Don't you worry.
Okay, good. I'm not worried.
Okay, good.
And I think, Luke, you're going to share a bit more information around end of life as well, in terms of what's happening with billing and what things will look like. And
yeah. We talked about the new pricing last time, so I'll just reiterate that as well. But I think we're going to jump into a few questions that have been raised. Martin, is best to start there, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thanks for sharing, Robert. It's good to see what you guys have set up there.
No worries at all.
So yeah, a couple of you have submitted questions before in the registration process for tonight. So I thought we'd go through and answer some of them. Some of them are a bit more technical, but you'll get your answer regardless. So the first one was, can you talk about e-commerce, in particular tools for setting tax for countries other than the country the site's business is in, basically, is what they're talking about. So that's a good question, and I think it is one that we've discussed sort of internally and with the advisory board on closed doors previously. But effectively, we're opening things up. So the short answer is no. At the moment, it's not possible. But in the process of opening things up, and we're not planning to offer the tax solutions ourselves. Instead, we'll open things up so that you can communicate with third-party solutions who already do a very good job with that. There are solutions out there whose entire business is dealing with tax in multiple countries. So it would be silly of us this year to try and compete with that and launch something that's as efficient.
Just quickly on that, yeah, over the years we've kept looking into it. There's a few different solutions out there, and Stripe have actually come up with their own in the meantime. So it proves that it's best not to go down one route really. The Stripe one looks like it's a really good way to go, but again, we don't want to dictate that. So yeah, as Martin mentioned, we're in the process at the moment. You've probably seen and discussed in the recent calls that you'll soon be able to control the whole process flow for payments, which just opens up a whole load of opportunities. You could do custom shipping, custom tax, custom all sorts of things really, and control the whole process. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what needs and solutions come out of that, but I would definitely recommend looking at the Stripe solution first for tax.
Yeah, and is that going to be down to partners to build rather than Cycli building that, particularly with that Stripe one, for example?
The Stripe one is an interesting one because that might be something that can be added on to the core Stripe integration itself. But again, we would want to look at, I think we'd want to see the community working on some or discussing some specific needs and tax solutions, and then get involved in that potentially and see what the best route is. But again, it comes down to roadmap. We're going to let you guys lead us on the most important things, and should we be building very specific integrations when we can allow you guys to do what you need to do. We'll be led by you guys to some extent.
Cool, thanks.
Not the most helpful answer, but I think we're going to have to see with that, something like that. Obviously, the BC end of life has dictated a lot of things up until now. The next meeting we have, we'll be talking about what we can do next and more exciting things.
Yeah, it's just making sure, I guess, that having awareness if different firms are developing different solutions, that maybe we're not treading on each other's toes in that respect. And you know, if we're doing something that Cycli don't come along and then do exactly the same thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've released the marketplace so that you guys can start creating and releasing modules. We definitely don't want to discourage or tread on any toes or anything. So we want to see people actively developing things, putting it into the marketplace. There'll be, we've talked about this as well in some of the advisory board meetings about how we would manage multiple apps of the same kind of thing. And I think we'd just let it work in the way that most marketplaces do, where the best rise to the top with reviews and things. And then if there was a need for us to get involved or you know, take charge of something, then potentially we could, but we're definitely not going to come along and make something redundant. So we've got plenty of other things to be doing.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Thank you. So one other question. So we'll go through some of the submitted ones and then we'll open the floor up to you guys, of course. So we just got a couple more. Next question was, if a site is running an online store and selling to customers globally, the checking out stage needs to be able to identify where the purchaser is and recognize what sales and tax are applicable. But it gets tricky when it comes to digital downloads and stuff like that rather than shipping. So that's the gist of the question there. So effectively, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can develop something and implement something yourself currently to be able to meet that kind of requirement. So when you're hitting the checkout page, you can have something hidden in the page with Liquid, so you can access where the device currently is, and then you could show or hide the tax codes that are applicable. So I'll just quickly show, and I'll send the link to you guys after. So we have a tax code changer. So this is great on the checkout page once you're going through those steps. So what you can do is obviously filter the results that are shown. So then if you are in, the States, then you only get ones that are relevant to you, or, Australia or Europe or what have you. So yeah, at the moment, that would be the best way to go about doing that. Hopefully that answers the question. I know, like Nick, your guys have been doing some funky stuff with checkouts recently. I don't know if it was around tax code changes, but I know they've been doing various edits to that process.
Yeah, I don't think it's tax code changes particularly, because obviously in the UK, most of our customers are just UK based, and the tax is fairly straightforward in that sense. But certainly, yeah, obviously on the shipping side of things, we've done a few bits and pieces. I'm just chatting to DJ on email as well. I don't know if he's on. I haven't seen him on here, but yeah, about doing some stuff for him, for one of his customers. But I think one of the things we might end up doing early days is looking at shipping integrations and doing some of the API stuff for that side of things, because he's certainly got a client with the USPS, sorry. So that might be something fairly early that we try and get integrated.
Fantastic. Were you meaning maybe for the marketplace or just?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
cool.
no, I mean, obviously, as you know, being in the UK, it's quite easy to do shipping compared to the US, and that's where the APIs for USPS and UPS and DHL really come into their own. So I think it's probably some quite good opportunities to do those type of integrations there. Cool. Those of you who are in the US might tell me otherwise, but.
Cool. You can see Helen on the chat said, "Great news, Nick. Shipping can get pretty crazy."
And Grant saying thanks for the tax code changer. Yes, I think it was your question, Grant, wasn't it? So awesome. We'll send the links out so you can get to the docs.
Just while we're on the chat and that sort of topic, yeah, Helen as well. I like the idea of sort of Stripe and SiteGlide taking care of everything, because e-commerce choices can be a bit overwhelming. Yeah, I think keeping it in as few different places as possible is good. So really pleased to see Stripe have done that. It's pretty recent, I think. So that's something at some point we'll take a look at and discuss with whoever's needing it or perhaps looking at it.
Yeah, nice one. Cool. So next question that was submitted beforehand is there any plan to implement the ability to sort of print packing slips and labels, i.e. names and addresses, for orders? So this can be done, again, by more sort of custom development. There is also a feature request. So at the moment, what you can do is you can aggregate data on a page using Liquid. And then POS have a built-in functionality where you can convert a page to a PDF or any other file type that you'd like. So what you could do is pull the data in dynamically, hit the endpoint, and then download the data that needs to be printed. Is effectively one way of doing it. We do also have a request on the roadmap, so the guys will be taking a look at that. So if anybody has a need for being able to print packing slips, again, we'll send the link out. Go and add your vote to it. Because as you all know, we take number of votes into account when we're sort of planning next steps and future releases. So short answer is yes, it is possible, and yeah, we'll send out some links with a bit more information to you on that one. Cool. The final question, which is a really nice segue into what Luke wants to talk about, is what feature improvements are you planning next? What comes after BC end of life? So Luke, I know you had some stuff you want to talk about on this one.
Yeah, sure. We're trying not to go all out discussing and planning things with you guys this time, because we know that there's a lot going on with BC and want to respect that you're busy and get that done first. But we're really looking forward to in the coming weeks really chatting that through on these calls and hearing thoughts on what you guys need most next, and also giving you ideas of where we're wanting to go. And it's a really interesting time. Obviously, we've had to really focus on making sure that you guys can do as much of the BC migrations as possible, and that's somewhat dictated what we build. So really looking forward to showing you our vision of where we want to take things, and also taking the roadmap into account, and these meetings as well. So to give a few ideas, there are some remaining BC things or BC related things that we've wanted to carry on working on, things that we've discussed with people, and we'll carry on with those a little bit, but they're all very much relevant to the sort of core product and vision, which is fundamentally making data accessible, allowing you to submit data, query it, pretty much do anything with data. And that just takes away the limitations that BC had, and that plenty of other platforms do. So yeah, some things there, good examples are other things in that blog post and that Matt's working on at the moment, such as the sort of improving import and export and working with data, as well as enhancements to things like field types, where we're adding in some more field types based on requests. So things like number. Oh yeah, thanks Martin, load that up for me. You can see it here on the roadmap. So this is the next category for the roadmap. This will, based on feedback and everything, we will overhaul this and continue to amend it. But this gives you an idea of what we've got on focus at the moment. I'll just go to a couple of other bits. We've really been sort of thinking about the different features that we would like to work on next, and the things that we kind of feel that maybe are missing from the feedback we've had. So things like, alongside making data more accessible, which includes import, export, and the API. Things like custom reports, I think that was brought up last time, being able to then use that data more effectively. So improving the reporting suite and allowing you to generate all kinds of reports. A cool one that Devon and I spoke about, actually, and I think we did in a previous call, that maybe ties into what we've just been talking about, would be being able to customize workflows and make them trigger based, so that you can kind of make far more sort of automated workflows. So that's something we're really keen to look at. That won't be immediate, but that's a really powerful one that continues to sort of open up the platform. On the opening up, we're doing that with e-commerce at the moment, so you guys have control of the flow. But again, we just want to make sure that everyone has access and control of the data and the processes. A couple of other small ones, just while we're there. So things like user submitted module items, that would allow you to do more along the we're sort of calling it the web portal route, where you essentially combine CRM, secure zones, and web apps or databases, and being able to do more portal or intranet style login area, that kind of stuff, where maybe even then leaning more towards marketplaces and communities. If people are submitting their own content, maybe even selling or sharing that content, and just making it a lot more flexible and standardized, I guess, across the platform. I think those are the main things. I think the last one on that, and that's something we will want to discuss with you guys in more detail, would be integrations, and also trying to make the platform more accessible to agencies needing to solve more than just building a portal or something like that. So as an example, looking at something like HubSpot or something on the lines of a marketing platform, you guys might use that for CRM and sales tools and marketing tools, but you want to be able to get the data between the two platforms. And we've done Zapier, we're on SyncSpider and Integromat, I believe, or they're finalizing their integration with that. But we want to maybe do a couple of more direct ones if that solves a real specific need. So HubSpot maybe being an example there. Again, it would be very much based on hearing feedback and what people are looking to do. I think those are the main things. I've probably missed a few more immediate sort of BC related things. Does Martin, can you think of anything that was really worth mentioning as an upcoming one?
Not beyond those that are in the blog post, so we can sort of circle back and revisit if people would like to. But no, I think we've addressed everything that people have brought to us so far.
And
can I just come in there on BC stuff?
Sure.
If there are any partners who, like us, have used BC as a DNS server and might have subdomains or CNAMEs pointing to other services, just remember that you've got to get all your DNS sorted before the 26th. So you might, for example, have a file store where you're using the CNAME and the subdomain to point to that. We offered that in the early days. Goes without saying that your mail has to be migrated or moved to another platform. But just go through in your partner portal account, go through all your domain DNS zone files and just make sure that if you still have your partner portal account that is, just make sure that those will not go down when BC goes down on the 26th, because it will take the DNS with it if you have delegated to Adobe. Understood.
Yeah, nice one.
yeah, I imagine some of you guys did the white labeling on BC as well, so you kind of had to leave that in place to make sure it doesn't take any existing sites down. So yeah, that's a bit of a juggle, but I imagine next week is the time for that, and might wake a few customers up if if needs be as well. Yeah, worth planning that a little ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, really sort of tying that all together. Anything to do with the next 2 weeks, or maybe short term after that? Are there any questions or things that people are sort of crying out for, or think would be nice to see?
Helen's asked, got a client wondering about timeline on dashboard and email campaigns. So dashboard's something that we could perhaps look at now that we've got end of life out the way. So that's something we could discuss. Email campaigns, again, we might need to revisit that. So obviously we've done integrations. We opened up the API specifically so that you guys could integrate to awesome tools like MailChimp and things like that for doing email marketing. So you switch to MailChimp, Michael says, yeah.
I mean, just to really be clear on our view on that, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to build MailChimp, but if we see that we can add some more value and enable something that those tools can't do because we have the data all in one place, so being able to use Liquid to create dynamic emails, more for maybe transactional email, that's definitely something we want to do. And that goes back to the kind of triggers and workflows that I've talked about. So email is something we want to really look at because it's one of the ways to use site-wide data. But just building a nice email designer, I think we're probably better off spending our time in other places. So that's where we look really at integrations and continue to listen to where the integrations could be better for marketing tools, but also really understand where we can enhance what you guys can build on the platform itself. Dashboards, same again, really. If you can push your data somewhere and build more marketing focused dashboards somewhere else, then I mean, we don't want to say you have to do it in SiteGlide. That's the whole point of not having a closed box. So you might want to push that to countless other tools, or use things like Google Analytics as an example. But yeah, at some point we'd definitely like to make it easier to output and use data in a sort of dashboard format within the platform. But again, we need feedback on that. I'm not sure I follow that. There's a question about schema markup. More SEO fields in web apps. In web apps, you can kind of, I would have thought, if understood correctly, you can kind of build all the fields you want to. So it'd be interesting to know what kind of things you might want to do from an SEO perspective. There's probably some clever dynamic things you could do with fields that look up certain data and use Liquid to do something clever. So yeah, custom SEO with Liquid. I think that's where the marketplace comes in. It'd be great to see people building things and coming up with ideas that we don't even know about, really, in terms of what you could do to push the platform and then put it in a box for other people to use.
So
I hope that
with the SEO fields, just because it sounds like you're not sure either. They're sort of StreamMag. So you can add custom fields. What you need to do then is the data is accessible within the web app item. So if you add it, you need to use, again, we can link to docs afterwards, use site-wide head scripts to automatically move them into the header. So you can literally do whatever you want with the custom field content, or as you say, you could do some really crazy stuff with Liquid. I think POS have done examples in the past where they automatically generate whole pages for search engines to optimize results and sell things. Like, the sky's the limit on that side of things. So it'd be really cool to see some ideas come up and some modules that people work on. Hopefully that answers the question. Helen says, I've got an early adopter that has promised his clients, so it's been asking when email campaigns will be ready. Yeah, so we'll have to look at that, Helen. So obviously, yeah, I know they're using email marketing in a third-party tool. It's just, I would assume they're hoping to get the data, dynamic data from us.
I mean, email, for those that remember, email marketing was built in SiteGlide and released, but it wasn't MailChimp. So yeah, as Adam says, maybe white label MailChimp if you want just an email marketing experience. If you want to do clever things with SiteGlide data, let's talk about it. Let's look at either better integrations or how we can help with maybe transactional emails, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Harry, you said you just stuck some questions in the registration. I am afraid I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me now. Do you want to drop them into chat and we can take a look shortly? That would be cool. Yeah, and SiteGuru is reaching out there about the fields there if you need it'll. Cool. Oh, and another question in chat is, oh, there we go, nice one, thanks, Harry. So Harry's questions are, what is the future plan with importing attributes from BC, given that it's currently impossible? So that's one of the things on the list that the team are going to be bringing out next to make sure that you guys can import the data. So basically make sure you keep hold of it, and hopefully very soon you'll be able to import that to join the rest of your data.
I know I've seen the sort of previews and everything. I know that's something Matt's been working and the team been working heavily on, based on feedback and discussing this quite a few times now. So yeah, it's pretty close. I think I wouldn't like to say exactly when, but we're definitely on top of that one. Yeah,
cool. And the second question is, are you planning to allow custom SDK parameters in PayPal? That is a question for our dev team, and I'm not sure on the answer on that one, but we can certainly find out for you and get back to you. I'm not sure how much work is involved with that, or if it's even possible using the PayPal API, so we can take a look.
Yes, it's in progress.
Aha.
Simple as that.
Job done.
Back to the attributes, I've just suddenly remembered. I've been through it and had a look at it. Can't give all the details, but I know that I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about how it works, being able to actually do it all in one file rather than having to do it in having to do products and attributes separately. So it's pretty close, I think. Dean, without me on the spot, any thoughts on that or comments?
I'm not seeing it. Luckily enough, it's with the guy that's not here right now.
He's having a well-deserved break for a couple of days.
Thursday then. Thursday, definitely. Not that we're desperate or anything, or nervous.
No,
I think we've got about 6 sites with quite a lot of attributes on them that need stock control. So we're.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Like, you're from memory and seeing it and talking it through with him. He's found a very clever way to essentially do it in the one file and just put the data in there. So
yeah, if you need it beta testing, send it over.
We'll let him know.
Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, Dean's dropped the one in for the parameters for the SDK scripts there, which is good for the roadmap link. We can share that afterwards. Does anybody else have any other questions? Anything that's popped up while you guys are migrating the last of your sites, etc.? No? Okay. Any questions about what's coming next? No? Okay. Nick, how are you getting on migrations? Are you all done? Every single one ticked off?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There's no pressure whatsoever. Now, we're kind of, I think we've got about 10 that are in progress, which is the final ones. Half of those are just brochure sites that will go across really easily. The others, we are literally waiting on, hopefully, the attributes. And so Pete's, who's our new kind of head of dev, has worked out a Python script to pull them in, but it's still quite a job of work. So we would really love to have the import function sooner rather than later, because as much as anything, we just need to know, are we going to have to kind of work really late for the last week? Or are we going to have something, you know, even if you said, right, it's coming on Monday or something, I don't know. What have we got? 2 weeks left, haven't we? So yeah, we're going to need a few days grace on it. And it's one of those, either we dig in straight away and just work really long and really late to get these all pulled across, because there's like literally thousands of products and some of them with attributes, and some have got colors and sizes, for example. So that's that adds to the mix, and it is going to be a kind of semi-manual task, or there'll be an import function that we can work with. So it's just that not knowing at the moment is a bit of a concern.
Let's catch up on that, and we'll update everybody as well. But that's obviously sounds quite critical, Nick. Let's catch up on that, and even maybe if we can give you the format or something a little bit sooner, and give you a preview or something, and then get it over to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Cool. Yeah, let's catch up in a couple of days maybe.
Cool.
If there's anybody else, let us know if that's a big stumbling block for you as well. Cool.
Nice. Michael says we just need to get through the next week. Well, hey, yes, we do. Final push.
Just reading one from Harry. Do you have a few forms where the first and last name fields are separate, whereas SiteLoad requires a name field? Any plans to allow this to be separated into first and last name and automatically concatenated? I imagine people have done that kind of thing quite a bit. Yeah,
you can do. So it doesn't really answer the question what I'm going to say next, but I will in a second. So people have a workaround where they add in a custom field, and then they have, I think we have an example in our docs where you can split the data into the two fields that you want. But to answer your question, no, there are, to be honest, currently there are no plans to add in a second field. If you wanted to, we could put a roadmap feature in, put a request into the feature roadmap and see how many people agree. If that's what everyone wants, then we can take a look.
Yeah, if we're getting into email marketing, then that's actually quite a useful field. And I know you can split it out at that level as well, but actually just having the option to go first and last just makes that dear first name, an easier thing to do.
Mm.
If you to follow on, if you just enter name into the database, the users table will automatically split and give you name, first name, and last name.
Say that again.
Even though if you just even collect name, if you create a user in a table with just name, in the back end, it will automatically split and give you 3 values of name, first name, and last name. So even if you've been collecting data with just name for like a year, it will give you all of those records should already have those fields available.
Right. Okay.
I think last time I checked, that was the case. We may only display one of them by choice, being name, or I could have just lied. But last time I checked, that was the case.
So if we jump into the API, there's a first name, last name in there, is there then?
It will just be in the database, so it should be visible through GraphQL.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I think he's saying if we were to switch them, the data would be there, and you wouldn't have to do a massive re-import, which is quite cool.
Yeah. Cool.
I can
Christine?
confirm that that's what happens in the back end.
Sorry, say that again, Adam. You sort of cut up a bit.
Oh, I just said I can confirm that that's what happens in the back end. It splits the name field into two, or oh, maybe I'm backwards. I know it combines the first and last fields from Platform OS into the name field. I don't know if it actually splits them into the two, though. I think it goes one direction, not the other.
Yeah, interesting. We'll have to take a look and see what see how it's set up then.
I don't know how useful that is, but thought I'd share it. But that's the document that Dean shared earlier.
Cool. Helen says we'd like to know how to set up an API. Is there any documentation? Yeah, we do have some documentation and some examples on sort of doing it first. The cool thing is, like, you know, API is not, SiteGlide hasn't built API, so there'll be lots of docs for you to search online, if you see what I mean. And yeah, we've got docs on how to interact with our endpoints as well. So the world is your oyster on that one.
But not to be entered into lightly. That is another level, the API side of things.
Zapier makes it easy to think you're good at it. Right.
Yes. As somebody who has played with a couple and then got the experts involved.
Yeah, cool. And Nick, actually, you just reminded me. So on the API stuff, was it SyncSpider that you guys got integrations done with? Yeah.
So SyncSpider is at this stage somewhat limited because we've only done form cases at this stage with them, because it was something we paid for a particular client, but then they've made it available to everybody. So at some stage we do need to look at doing the full e-commerce and both way integrations with them. I don't know how that would sit financially and who it would sit with and so on, because they do integrations to kind of push to everybody, but at the stage I did it, and probably still whether SiteGlide has enough people for them to go, oh, right, actually that's well worth us spending our time to get more customers using SyncSpider. That's the challenge as to where it sits. But but you can within SyncSpider you can do your own API integration. Kind of, they've got the framework for you to do custom integrations into them, but it's not the same as them doing the integration, but you can get a certain distance with it. Right, okay. And it doesn't run on webhooks, it just runs on checking the data every few minutes. So it's a bit of a different process to Zapier, but then it's got much better filtering and things for e-commerce, and you can push. So if we do the API integration, the full API integration, you can then set it up so that if you update a product in SiteGlide, it will push that product to eBay and Amazon and those kind of things. So it could be quite useful, but we haven't got to that stage with them yet. But maybe shortly.
Because that can handle sort of proper two-way sync, yeah. Whereas Zapier is more. Yes.
Yeah. From what I understand, it will. Yeah, I'm sure it will.
They released the SiteGlide integration officially a few weeks back, and I think we're talking to them about what the next steps are. So yeah, I think it's good to have an option that's a little bit more sync based than Zapier. So
cool.
Thanks for kicking that one off. So Dean's just quickly replied to your question, Harry, about pagination. Hopefully that answers that one. And then Helen, you asked, for example, perhaps we could have an API connect with SendGrid, so the SiteGlide CRM could sync both ways with SendGrid campaigns. I was just about to say SendGrid's Zapier connections are very limited because SendGrid's API is very limited, unfortunately. I think in Zapier, there's one thing you can do, which is send an email to one person, I think, which is almost useless unless you're doing just transactional emails. So
the email API goes to the extent of you can send one email to one person is mind-boggling.
Yeah. So that's that's APIs for you, really. You can do as much as they offer in terms of endpoints, and unfortunately they don't offer that much there. But I mean, yeah, it depends what you're trying to do, really. There might be better tools to try and connect with, or some better intermediaries that do the connection a bit better. Somebody might have worked with SendGrid to create something else, but I doubt it, because their API just isn't extensive enough, I think, unfortunately.
They have contacts API, but not. Yeah, so Helen, you might, sorry, Dean and or Helen, it might be worth checking a few others. So I know ThinkSpider has a connection with them. Again, I can't see how deep that goes. You just have to have a look around and see what's available, really.
Just to sort of clarify, sort of for now and our future vision is always to make all data accessible. So you'll typically find that it's not really we'll try and make sure we're not the limitation on data and getting it to something or syncing or whatever. It would likely be the other endpoints or the tool that you're using to connect the two. But looking forward to discussing all this kind of stuff in a few weeks' time, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are approaching the top of the hour. I don't know if anybody has any questions that they've now thought of and that they wanted to get some feedback from on the team while we are here. No? Well, fingers crossed then that all of my questions are going smoothly. We seem to have lost Luke for the temporary, for the time being. He didn't like that question.
So one other point related to end of life for anybody that is that has been using BC reseller version of OpenSRS email. That's the hosted email cust.b.hostedemail.com or whichever cluster URL. And if you are going to get the email migrated and remain with OpenSRS, so that's moving it out of Adobe's control, but keeping your client's email on OpenSRS, be aware that you have a very important change to make in your DNS zone. The mail CNAME is very different to what it is on Adobe. I don't think many people will be migrating from Adobe. It's the same endpoint for the mail, but Adobe with the wrapper around it. They were the resellers. But if you are, I have some documentation on it somewhere. I was looking just quickly. I didn't actually find.
You've got one on it. I don't know if it does everything you're thinking of, though, Robert.
Yeah, and whilst you're talking about that, if you're migrating elsewhere, when you download the emails, set it up as a pop email, so it actually pulls the email down onto your client's machine rather than an IMAP, which won't.
Yeah, that's a good point. That would be a sorry mistake to make.
Yeah, wouldn't it just?
Yeah, so I don't know, Robert, if this is everything you needed, but yeah, for those of you who do, we can import the existing mailboxes, as Robert's been saying, and we've got a doc here with the records. So you can see it's hosted email instead of the World Secure Systems one, along with the details.
Just looking at in our quality and standards document that I did, it's a while since I wrote it, but the yeah, it's mx dot and then client domain name, whatever that might be, .ext.cust.b.hostedemail.com. I don't know whether that's what you're showing.
It is, yeah.
Showing on the screen. Yeah, it's different to the settings that will exist if it's running through BC. There you go.
Yeah, nice one. Good stuff. I would also recommend, just on the topic of email, obviously BC are running a very, very reduced team. At the moment, they're doing all right and getting back to me and others to transfer emails, but I'm not sure how well that's going to hold out in the last week. So I'd maybe give yourself some leeway to have them moved over.
I could add something on that OpenSRS.
Sure.
That I've pretty much, that's how I've migrated all my clients' emails is through my account in SRS, and they're great. You can chat with them, and you just have to write a text record on the domain to prove, that you're the owner and stuff. And as long as you're on the same cluster, which I think all the BCs are on cluster B.
Yeah.
They'll just migrate all the boxes over, all the email and everything. But my question that I noticed there was it looked like you had a C record there, because I've only changed one record according. It's just the mail, the mail.b.hosted email. That's the record. But then, yeah, you have to add the domain into the back end. But I've only had to really add one MX record to the domains, and they're working. But are you saying that when BC shuts down, that's going to nuke it if I don't have a C?
No, if
that, Michael, if you've already, sorry, Martin, if you've already migrated your client email, Michael, then I don't think that will be the BC closing down shouldn't affect it. No, it's just that the record value changes on migration away from BC to well, it's not migrating anywhere. It's just coming out of Adobe's control and going to OpenSRS. Trying to find my document again now, but I managed to successfully use
I believe that CNAME record, just to answer the question, is for the webmail. So if you're not accessing it via the webmail, you don't need to worry about it.
They've accessed it through they're able to get it through webmail. My clients, because that's how I have them tested. I go log into the web and log into mail.b.hosted email, and then use your password and log in, and they're able to see their mail. And then all I do is reconfigure their email send and receive servers on their, if they're using like a Outlook or Apple Mail or something, and it's been working for them.
I believe it's for you can do a custom domain login, can't you? I'm pretty sure. So you go to the website domain there's a specific domain that you can do. I can double check that, but I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious. I just want to make sure that I've done it right. Seems like it's right.
You've done it right. Let me just copy that. You must create the CNAME record. I went through to OpenSRS support for this. So we had an issue with it. And I'll put it in the chat. Yeah. Okay. So there is the example. You must create the CNAME value, well, the CNAME record with a value of mail, and then your client domain name dot extension. So client domain name dot ext is the bit you replace. And then you leave .cust.b for, as Michael says, cluster
right.
B.
Yeah, I mean, I've created that record with the MX, maybe.
Sorry, Michael, you've created that record, what?
Well, I used MX on my domain, most of my domains, exact hosting, and then I just created an MX record, and I put that value in mail.b.hosted, whatever it is, based on their domain.
Yeah, you need to do both.
I don't remember putting in a CNAME, I guess is what I'm saying. But I could follow up and make sure. I don't know if it's working because Adobe's still working and there's a C record still there, but I would think maybe not.
So that's
I've completely deleted. Once I migrate them over, then I go to the Adobe server, I delete the mail service with Adobe, and then I set up a new mail service with the exact one for the OpenSRS, the mail.b.hosted. I put in a new MX record in the backend if their domain is still active until I've migrated them over. So yeah, I can look.
Two different processes, I think. Then we haven't done that. So what Martin does is once the domain is added to SiteGlide, he will go, tell me if I'm wrong, Martin, you will go to Adobe through live chat and ask them to release control of OpenSRS and put it into SiteGlide's control.
Adobe do it.
Yeah, because I'm special. They won't
No,
do it for anyone
you're
else.
brave, because I would think they would just not know what they're doing, because the support is on down the
Not
hill.
wrong there.
No, I just, like I say, I go to OpenSRS and I contact them in my reseller account, and I just have to, they put a code in my control panel. I give them the code to verify who I am, and then I have to put a text record in the Adobe backend. I put that in. Once the OpenSRS guy sees it, or gal, they say, okay, hold on. And then they migrate all the emails over, and I say, thank you, have a nice day. And they're like, great, you have another one? I'm like, I will soon. But
yeah,
cool. I don't know. I try to minimize my interface with Adobe. I got really mad at him about 3 months ago when I had a client's campaigns, basically everything was shut off. And I said, what's going on? And they couldn't really answer the question. And that's when I started converting everybody to MailChimp. So
yeah, no, nice. I would just say, if you're concerned, just in case it does go down when you make the switch, all you need to do is check the registrar. So wherever you're hosting it, just make sure you don't have any of those word secure system records. So any of the email records that contain the BC version, just check against the docs, and you should be all set. If it's working now with just the MX record for you, fantastic, it'll be absolutely fine. Just make sure that that BC record is not still in there.
That's right.
What you're saying is when the BC site goes down, and if the record is still there, it can't be, that doesn't delete it. It keeps it in.
No, it's all down to your name servers. Everything is controlled from the name servers. So if your name servers don't point to BC, none of the DNS zone file records will be read.
I mean, could we point to BC with like our middle finger instead of?
No. I knew you were going to come up with something like that.
Hey,
after the
point to BC, so I just, I had to go.
I knew what was coming. Can we point to BC? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, we'll send some links to docs on that afterwards. Robert, your record's a bit different to the one that I've been telling everyone to use. So it'd be interesting to see because I remember you had some issues. So I'll connect with you afterwards.
One in chat.
Pardon?
The one I put in chat just now.
Yeah. So they're just slightly different to what everybody else is using. I know you had a bit of a different use case. So I'll connect with you afterwards and see, double check and see if we need to broadcast that.
There's no priority on that one, but you would write it as 10 space, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Brilliant. Well, we are at the top of the hour. Luke, you look like you've been wanting to say something for a minute. Did you want to say anything before we hit it off?
No, I just wanted to check whether anybody else wanted to ask any questions at all related to migrating sites, and just double check everybody's had a chance to. Think we're good. I'm guessing hopefully it's just the final steps now to get them all done, and able to do it. It's just a matter of time. Yeah.
I heard that Adobe was going to extend the deadline to December of 2023. Did anybody else hear that?
Yeah, right.
Brilliant. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining then. I suppose we'll wrap things up. So the next one we have will be after end of life. So it'll all be about looking forward to the future and planning what we do next, which will be really exciting. So yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. Luke, did you want to?
No, just good luck everybody with the final sites, and yeah, speak very soon.
Cool. Cheers everyone.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.